Can you imagine your father losing a lot of money to a romance scam? Baby girl Basweti, a 23-year-old Kenyan lady who quickly entered the entertainment industry as a video vixen, performing in videos for Salty Soul, Telegraph Jones, and even Ben Soul. She quickly rose to prominence. She was absolutely ready to do anything and everything possible for money, speaking to and interacting with managers, and down to do whatever it takes to get some cash for herself and to send back home to her family. Little by little, she started to make bank and decided that it was time for her to get a BBL. Following that BBL, her popularity skyrocketed. With that body in music videos, Basweti was quickly introduced to socialites, musicians, celebrities, and anybody who wanted to be in her presence. That's when she decided that she must up a notch, do more to get more money. At one such event, she was introduced to Dr. Kimani, a wealthy businessman that many weren't sure what exactly he did, but he knew people, he knew contacts, and he was always in the know. Upon meeting Basweti, Dr. Kimani told her that he was interested in providing her an even better life. All she had to do was contact some of his wealthy and older white men from other countries, talk to them, let them feel loved and cherished, and entice them to give her money. He had a full network of ladies working under him and a lot of potential clients. Basweti, feeling that she had nothing to lose, decided to jump on board. Within her first client, she was able to make up to 40,000 US dollars. Seeing all that money, Basweti decided that this was indeed the lifestyle she was built for, and she continued. For 2 whole years, Basweti was in this industry making bank with the help of Dr. Kimani. She would talk to these older men, entice them, and even invite them all the way down to Nairobi for a wedding. A fake marital certificate that was provided to her by Dr. Kimani. These gentlemen were not aware that without their prenup, should she ask for a divorce, half of their belongings would be hers. And so she continued, man after man after man after man. Following those 2 years, Basweti was making up to $300,000 a year. By this time, Basweti decided that, you know what, she had made so much money and she was finally comfortable, her family was doing well. She wanted to retire from the industry. She was ready to put her money into a proper investment, invest in a business, create something that is her own, and eventually leave this industry. Until one day, an anonymous user on social media sent her a message. Hi Basweti, I really like your aura, I really like the way you are. I'm an older gentleman and unfortunately, I'm a little lonely. My wife has passed away and I just want to get to know you and speak to you if you would be interested. Looking at the account and looking at the message, Basweti decided that this would be the big bang. So she did. She messaged him back. He informed her that he was a widower. He didn't have any kids, but he had a lot of money and he didn't want to be alone. He wanted somebody to talk to, somebody who he could lavish with gifts and lavish with money. Of course, Basweti was not going to say no. And they built this pseudo relationship. The man in question was called John Howard, and he had businesses in Canada and the States. He was tired of being alone and tired of being miserable. So as John and Basweti built this relationship, money was flowing. Until one day, John mentioned that he was interested in marrying Basweti. She had made him so happy and he wanted to marry her in the Dominican Republic. And so they did. It was a real and official wedding. They went, exchanged rings, had a real marriage certificate, and Basweti became Mrs. Howard. At this point, Basweti felt she had it all. There was no prenup. She had a rich old man that would soon. Everything was going according to her plan. But that relationship wasn't easy. Through their ups and downs, John found out that Basweti was cheating on him and had slept with a younger man. Through it all, he forgave her, reminding her that he was thankful that she decided to spend time with him and that he would stay and that he had no one else. John and Basweti's relationship continued. Long distance for the most part, but it felt real, especially to John, until One day he decided to visit the Dominican Republic. A little worried about his health, Basweti told him that traveling up and down is not a good idea, but he was insistent that he really wanted to revisit where they got married. So he went on his own, had a great time, and returned to the States. A few weeks later, by the time John Howard was 78, he passed away to a heart attack. Basweti in Kenya was then called and informed that unfortunately her husband had passed away. With this information, Basweti was sure that they were married, had no prenup, and therefore his entire fortune would be hers. A few weeks later, a lawyer called, informed Basweti that he has information to share. Unfortunately, John Howard has a will. And in his will, everything that belongs to him, his entire fortune, was to be left with his house staff, the chauffeurs, the cleaning ladies, everyone who took care of him when he lost his wife. Enraged, Basweti said, "This can't be possible. I'm his wife, I am Mrs. So even if he wants to give something to them, I still get more." The lawyer then informed her that, unfortunately, the Dominican Republic, where they got married, is a country in which you can request a divorce without your spouse agreeing. All John had to do was request a divorce, claim Basweti had gotten the papers and was interested in appearing, and he was granted a divorce. Without her knowledge, Basweti was no longer married to John Howard. To make matters worse, in his will, John Howard had included proof and speculation as to the fact that he believed Basweti was running a romance scam. He had found and gotten access to her bank details and had printed and shared them with the lawyer. The lawyer was calling to inform Basweti that unfortunately for her, her assets were being frozen until a full investigation could be performed. In her shock, Basweti quickly tried to reach Dr. Kimani. He was her provider. He was the one who put her in this business. She needed help. Come to find out, Dr. Kimani could not be found. Calls weren't going through. Emails were not reaching. She was alone. In that moment, Basweti broke down into tears. What was she to do? Now that's an entangled web. That's all I've got for you guys today. Don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Our numbers are growing. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye.